Okay, so now it's time to plan your shots. This is the fun process of working out where you want to place your camera to capture each moment of your story in the best way possible. Now, you might just want to shoot a scene in just one shot, but the disadvantage of this is that you can't really make any editing choices later on, and what you see is what you get. By all means have a go, and I love shooting long takes, but if you're shooting a traditional scene that you want to be able to edit later on, then you will need to capture multiple shots to allow you to build the best version of your scene later. Multiple shots can also allow you to alter the pace of the scene, the emotion, the perspective, and tons of other things. So this is why people normally film in this way, because it gives you the most options later on. So some basic common shot examples might be a wide shot to establish where the action is taking place, a medium shot of some characters, a close-up on a face, an over-the-shoulder shot of a character talking to another, and a cutaway showing something completely different. So these are the sorts of normal shots you would break your script down into and decide to film those on the day. If you don't know what shots you want, a good option for beginners is to just shoot what is called coverage. This basically just means shooting everything again and again from different angles, and this will give you the maximum options later on if you have the time to film all of it. For example, you might shoot your whole scene of two people talking as a wide, as a medium shot, as a close-up on character 1, as a close-up on character 2, as an over-the-shoulder shot on character 1, and an over-the-shoulder shot on character 2. This way you have every moment filmed from every angle. It's not the most exciting method, and it does take longer, but it can be a more fail-safe method of getting what you want for the edit. But at the same time, you can easily go overboard with overshooting. If the scene is 5 minutes long, are you really going to need that wide shot for the whole 5 minutes? Probably not. Maybe just at the start and at the end, or maybe for a big key moment. So right there, you've just made a creative choice about what to film. On the day, you now know that you can probably just run the start and the end of the scene on the wide shot and then move on, rather than spending all that time filming something you're not going to use. So filming coverage of absolutely everything possible can make you lazy, and it can take far longer than you need. Also remember that your actors may be getting tired of doing the same thing 100 times, and their performances will suffer. Knowing when to do fewer shots is just as important as knowing when to cover it with many shots. And I would say if you can cover some complicated movement in one well thought out shot, this is better than 2 average ones. Another example of shooting too much is close-ups. In beginners' films, all the time you see close-ups of details that are just not important. Close-ups should only be used to draw attention to something new or important to the scene. There is no need to film too many close-ups of everything. If you film a close-up of someone picking up a book, your audience will be waiting for that book to come back and be important in the story. But if it never does, they will be confused as to why it was highlighted in its own close-up. So I would say once you are more confident, make some big decisions when you come to do your shot list or storyboard instead of just shooting coverage. Don't cover every line, action or prop from every angle. It's lazy and it's unnecessary. Just decide the best angle from which to tell each part of your story. This also ties in with the concept of shoot to edit, which can be pretty crucial if you are being a one-person crew. By having a vision already of what shots will go where and how your finished film will look, you can then work backwards and just shoot those moments that you've already imagined. I will often be basically editing in my head while filming solo if I know I'm going to be the editor too, so that I will know where everything is and what I will use. So it can be easier to be trying to get some really specific things rather than just getting a ton of generic stuff and hoping you can make it work later. So using your script and any notes from a rehearsal if you've started rehearsing, now you can begin to make some useful plans. First, you can draw a floor plan, which is a bird's eye view looking down on where everything and everyone is, and this can help you decide where to put the camera for each moment. Floor plans are particularly useful for making sure you are not crossing the line and you're sticking to the 180-degree rule. Next, you can begin to make your shot list. This is a good way to tick things off on the day and make sure you don't miss anything. There's no real set rule for what to include, but as a minimum, I normally list each shot I want to get with a quick description and what lens I'll be using. You might be more visual and prefer to draw storyboards so that you basically have a visual shot list. I particularly do this when I know I will not have long to get what I need, or if I'm planning a sequence that is tricky and I want to be even more prepared on the day. If you have a crew, storyboards are also brilliant for quickly being able to show other people exactly what you want to do next. Now, there are of course many apps and programs these days to help you design digital storyboards. In fact, a free one that I have tried is simply called Storyboarder. But I find I am much faster just with a pencil and paper and a simple storyboard template to draw your own. The good thing about storyboarding, even if they're just rough sketches of stick figures, is that it forces you to visualize how you want to tell the story in advance. Here's the storyboard for my short film In Memoriam that I drew before we filmed. This was because we only had one day to shoot, so I basically made the film on paper first and worked out exactly what I wanted, and as a result we shot the film very quickly. You might also want to think about translating your shot list or storyboard onto your script somehow and marking it up to show what shots would come where. Now, this is just personal preference, but depending on which document you're mostly going to be following on the day, it might help you not to miss anything that you have planned. I would say the ultimate method of basically making your film before you make it for real would be to create an animatic. This is basically a moving storyboard to test what will work when editing. Now, you can do this by simply taking photos of your storyboards, record some temp dialogue or sounds, and actually join these together using an edit program and produce a video. This can be a good way to work out things like shot timings and music options in advance. And if you need to keep your film under a certain length, then this also can be a very useful method. But for most normal scenes, probably a shot list or a storyboard is fine, and this is probably overkill. You could also make a lookbook to show other crew members what you envisage. A lookbook is simply a collection of movie stills, photographs, paintings, or any other visuals to illustrate a filmmaker's vision for their film. It functions as a reference for things such as cinematography, production design, casting, costumes, colors, moods, everything. Again, I made quite a basic one of these for In Memoriam. On big films, a lookbook can be a reference for all the creative departments, so it can be a great way to make sure everyone thinks they are making the same film before they begin. You can also make a lookbook first if you are stuck when creating a shot list or storyboard, and it might help give you some ideas. If you're looking for stills from other films online, you can try websites such as ShotDeck and FilmGrab, which have many of these in one place. If you're not sure about how to start planning your shots, a good trick is to just shut your eyes and just try watching your film, and then turn whatever you imagine into a plan by writing a shot list or drawing simple storyboards. If you're working with a bigger crew, you might want to come up with this shot list or storyboard together with your camera person. But if you're shooting as a one-person crew, then it's all the more critical that you plan as much as you can to begin with to stop yourself getting stressed on the day, because you will know what you're doing next. So using any of these methods of planning ahead will save you a lot of time and money. If you deviate from the plan on the day, that's fine, but at least having a plan will give you that confidence to go off it and improvise once you've got what you need. So now you can begin visualizing how you want to tell your story with a floor plan, a lookbook, a shot list, or a storyboard. Enjoy.